Well, hello there and welcome to the Nighthawk Racing #1st Championship. I'm Sarah Hawkins, also known as Sarah Hawkey, and I'll be your host this evening and one of your co-commentators for this GT7 base championship. We are back for season 2 and we are ready, and I'm excited to watch Lobby 2 and the racing. I am joined for the first time actually this season by Nighthawk Racing co-founder and motorsport enthusiast, as well as a very fast driver and also commentator, and just adding points to his CV. I'm joined by Midnight ISO.
Hello Sarah, pleasure to be here, and let's have a good one with Lobby 2, and been looking forward to this since the end of season 1, and let's get on with it. Let's go.
So like Midnight said, we are back and better than ever for season 2 of the Nighthawk Racing first championship. A lot of new faces, 2 lobbies this time, but we have an 8 race event championship spanning over 16 race sessions, which goes across 8 weeks. Lots of different car manufacturers that we'll see on the grid today, and potentially over 27 drivers, and some great tracks on the calendar. The format tonight is similar to race 1 of season 1. There was a pre-lobby qualifying that determined which lobbies the drivers will be racing in, and we'll be watching and commentating on Lobby 2. We have 3 official time sessions, with qualifying up first, then followed by our first racing session with a reverse grid sprint race. After the sprint race, we will then be treated to a 38-lap feature race, all at the Brazilian home of racing, Interlagos, which is loved by many, I'm sure. But Midnight, could you give us a little bit of an overview of the event session format and the point scales for Lobby 2, please?
Yes, of course, Sarah. Okay, so first off, the qualifying is a nice, simple 10 minutes. Tyre wear is set to 1, and with fuel burn times 3, so the cars should get much quicker as they go. Gives the drivers something to really, really enjoy and sink their teeth into. The tyres that they choose to qualify on will then form the tyre compound they have to use to the start of the feature race. So that would be the qualifying, which then goes to the feature, but which is actually third. Bear with me on this one. But the sprint race comes second after qualifying, which will be reverse positions from the qualifying session, which will be a 15-minute timed session, and that'll be a rolling start. And we'll be back to 5 times tyre wear and 3 times fuel burn, and that'll be an absolute flat-out race. Followed by the feature race, which will be 38 laps. Now, this will be set from the qualifying, which you saw earlier, and as I've already stated, the tyres that they qualify on, they will have to start the race on. Also, you have to use 2 different compounds in the race if it is a dry race, which we're not expecting any wet weather here at Interlagos, so that should be nice and easy. The point system for Lobby 2. There are points for qualifying first, second and third, 3, 2 and 1 in respective order. There is a bonus point fastest lap for the sprint race and 2 bonus points for the feature race. The sprint race itself starts at 12 points for first place, goes down a point every position until 12 for 1 point. And then the feature race itself is starting very, very similar to like the F1 scale, which starting at 25 points for first, then 22 for second, and then it goes down to 1 point for fourth. And that should round out our little our setup there, Sarah.
Just before we watch the race, a lot of the drivers in Lobby 2 we know very well and have raced against and have enjoyed some great moments with both on and off track. Like I said, for Lobby 1 we have some returning drivers from Season 1, but we also have some new faces joining us for Season 2, which will be a pleasure to introduce them throughout the season. And it's quickly worth stating that quite a few of our grid do independently stream on YouTube and Twitch, so links to their channels will be available in the Nighthawk Racing Discord and YouTube channel comment section. Welcome to the sprint race, our first session of the night. It's reverse qualifying order, so you see Nick taking pole position for our first sprint race of season 2 in Lobby 2. So as you can see, Nick in pole position, taking the the first spot as we see someone spinning in the background?
I believe that was Simon, Sarah. Yeah, he's gone wide at turn 1, but he's rejoined just in 10th place at the moment, and he's back on Coach, who has started obviously from the back with the reverse qualifying positions, and Nick is obviously leading into T3. Quite smooth so far, Sarah.
Yeah, all drivers getting away nice and clean, which is good to see. Yeah, Nick obviously getting that first pole position in the sprint race of the season. I'm sure he'll be looking to improve throughout the season, and I think seeing the performance of Nick from season 1 and going into season 2, he was on an upwards trajectory towards the end of season 1, so I'm excited to see what Nick can do this season.
Yeah, exactly that, and he's had a very good opening lap so far, and there's an absolutely huge battle through the middle sector from, I think, Hartman down to, he's even behind Coach, down to Koulios, so absolutely no tail so far. So Koulios with a 1 second penalty, that's going to hurt him coming up this long straight, I'm afraid, isn't it?
It is, and we watched Lobby 1 earlier, and unfortunately people that did get penalties, it didn't hurt them in the moment, but it hurt them towards the end of the race, where obviously losing that time is crucial to sticking with people that are near you. So yeah, drivers don't want to be getting a lot of them around here.
Yeah, quite right. I just saw it's displayed as Sabre Venom on this, but I believe that is Haslett, who he had a little bit of a bump into turn 1 with Yvonne and Bertie, and Yvonne is going for the lead down into turn 4 and gets it.
Yeah, what a move.
Yeah, classic little move, just a little like braking on the inside, but we're going to call him Sabre Venom for this one, or just Sabre, and just to make life easy, as that's what it shows on the screen at the moment. But yeah, Yvonne up into P1, Sabre in P2, followed by Bertie and Hartman, who is made his way up from the grid as well. Good bit of racing so far.
Yeah, if anything, if Lobby 1 was to go off with, excited to see what the drivers in Lobby 2 can do. As I just on board with me, I see Lee going for that move on Bertie, gets it stuck, and is looking to increase that gap already. Like I say, it's good to see a lot of new faces, but some returning drivers as well, such as Lee, Bertie, Coach, Koulios, Nick. It's all good to see them back and showing us some of them picking slightly new cars this season. So it'd be interesting to see how they can adapt to the new cars that they've chosen.
Yeah, quite right. It's all a bit of a challenge, but we've seen a lot of the drivers do quite a significant amount of practice. Ooh, and Hartman goes wide into turn 1. I'm not sure if that was a bump from Lee or not, but that is one for the stewarding team afterwards. But at the moment, Lee's up to P3, followed by Coach, who started at the back. Yeah, quite right. So we've got a lot of drivers on new cars for them, and they're going to be figuring out how it all pans out over a race distance and over this 15 minutes. Well, they've got to learn quickly.
Yeah, and again, referring to Lobby 1, we saw that a lot of people in the sprint race, obviously it's the first official time session, and it's a very adrenaline-filled session because it's the complete opposite to the feature race. Obviously, it's quite fast-paced, it's quite quick. You've got to make those moves stick. So I'm sure the drivers, when they were racing, they were feeling pumped and they were feeling ready. As you can see, everyone is quite close to each other still, which is wonderful to see. And Yvonne still in the lead with Sabre right behind in that BMW. I believe Yvonne is the only Beetle that we have in the season so far, and a car that we haven't really seen much of lately, so to see it in the lead is good, and hopefully she'll be able to stay in the lead for quite a while.
Yeah, quite right. As you say, it's a unique choice. It's going to have very unique handling characteristics compared to some of the cars that she goes wide.
I was going to say, as I say that, Sabre goes into the inside. Oh, and Sabre spins.
Oh, and damage.
Yeah, picks up some damage on that front right suspension.
Yeah, that is not what he's going to want in a 15-minute race. Not what you want in any race. And only 1/3 in at the moment. That is going to be hurting him. But went for the lead. Unfortunately, yeah, that's not worked out well for him. But that's so far that's worked out great for Yvonne, who is still leading the way in that Beetle. Has Lee for company at the moment, so definitely not getting away with this one. And Coach has made his way back up all the way from the last grid slot, who obviously qualified on pole for the feature race, but obviously has started at the back for the sprint race, and he's now into P3, and he's going to be challenging for that win, Sarah.
Yeah, and as we just see, Lee goes on to the inside there, gets the move stuck on Yvonne. Very convincing move, and a lot of conviction there. As we see Lee repping the Power Maxed Esports livery on his Porsche, a car that I know he feels very comfortable in, so it's good to see Lee in a car that he feels confident in, and I'm sure, as we can see, obviously he's in the lead now. I'm sure he'll be able to extract some good amount of points out of that car.
Yeah, quite right. It was the one car that I heard early in the process and application for Season 2 that he wanted, and he's obviously going to be happy there. Oh, into turn 2, we can see Coach and Yvonne and Hartman all basically side by side, joined by Koulios now, who's come out of nowhere despite having a penalty on the first lap. He's now up to P5 and chasing down the top 4.
Yeah, and currently the best first sector of them all from Koulios.
He's definitely enjoying that BRZ, isn't he?
Yeah. Again, a lot of drivers, or the returning drivers, picking different cars. Obviously a new challenge to adapt to these new cars, but so far, 5 laps in, they seem to they got the handle of their cars quite quickly, especially Koulios. It's good to see him not rage quitting a race for once. Sorry, Koulios.
Ooh, not sorry.
Yeah, it'll be good to see what he can extract from BRZ. Obviously, we know that he had a couple good results in that RX Vision last season.
Ooh, sorry, Coach down the inside the final corner, trying to get down the inside of Yvonne, but has opened the door for Koulios. So yeah, this battle's carrying on going, Sarah.
Yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on.
Koulios touching the slipstream of Coach. Will he bump draft him? Will he bump draft him down into turn 1? Not quite close enough to do so, but he might just nick a position there. Little bit of wheel banging, rubbing his racing, as they say, but all clean enough so far, as all 3 somehow make their way through turn 1 and 2. That's a good bit of racing from the triplet there. And you've got Hartman, who's now on the back of Lee for P1. So Lee defending, going to the inside, forcing Hartman wide. Will we see the cutback? Not on this one. This fight's going to carry on for a while, but they're absolutely nose to tail. What do you think, Sarah? Do we have any indication of who is going to come away with the win just yet? We're just over halfway. Still got just over, well, just 6 minutes roughly to go. And, oh, Hartman's lost it right in the middle of the track. Absolutely. The back end has let go, and he's going to drop right back to about 6th or 7th position. That's devastating for his chances.
Yeah, and like some of the drivers in Lobby 1 found out that as soon as you touch that grass or touch the wrong side of the curb, the car will just send you in the opposite direction. So very easily done around here, especially because there's no kind of walls to collect you or straighten you up. I said earlier, and I'm going to say it again, people tell gamers and sim racers to go touch some grass, but us sim racers, we don't want to touch grass in this game, because it's not our best friend, and it wants to kind of cause a problem and cause some chaos. So we just got to fight back and say, no, we don't want to touch the grass, because it's bad.
It is bad, and I don't know what you're on about, some of the Lobby 1 drivers. I do not know what you're referring to.
No, I don't think you would know, would you, Midnight?
No, I wouldn't have a clue. Moving on, swiftly moving on. Hartman's still in 6th. We've got Bertie for company now. And we have Sabre, who's making his way back up after that turn 3 little excursion and a bit of damage. So running P8, doing well. And somewhere Nick has got ahead of Simon. They're having a bit of a battle, bit of a dice here. Nick running the medium tyres as well as Simon, so they're obviously thinking longevity for this one, but it looks like they've got a little bit of battle going on, and it is great to see the improvement from Nick and Simon, despite both being fairly new to the series and new to the game, although Nick's returning. But yeah, it's good to see the improvement race upon race.
Yeah, and a massive shout out to Pedro, one of our admin team, for making a training video, which basically it's an opportunity for the drivers to watch a video of someone explaining certain braking points, certain racing lines to go for, which Pedro recommends. So yeah, massive shout out to him for making the video. I'm sure most of the drivers gave it a little watch, and took a lot of tips from it, so I'm sure from ourselves and from everyone else, it was massively appreciated.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but positivity so far, and I was positive Pedro's help has definitely helped a lot of the drivers, but I'm positive Koulos was pushing Coach right through down the back straight, and these three are absolutely together coming through turn 4 now, Sarah.
Yeah, and I'm on board with Hartman and Sharon, which looks like there's a battle brewing there as well.
Coach ran the outside, took P1.
Oh, Sharon accidentally spins on the grass. Like I say, you don't really want to touch the grass here, as soon as you put one wheel on the grass, it wants to send you in the opposite direction. But good to see Sharon getting going again.
Yeah, and as we know from the previous series, I believe it was Mac who said that AstroTurf is lethal, and that was particularly around Spa last year. But I think it applies to all of the circuits. Astro and grass is not a driver's best friend.
No, you'd think they would relocate it or put it somewhere else so that we don't touch it. But you know, I like to put the AstroTurf and grass in places that we don't like. As I went on board with Hartman, having a little bit of a half spin there onto the grass and getting reset, similar to what happened with Lewis in Lobby 1.
Yeah, it will happen. It will happen. I'll tell you what, I'm looking around and I'm seeing a lot of fights continuing to happen, but the drivers on the soft tyres, they are definitely going to be running them very, very fine when it comes to the final lap. At the moment, I'm looking at Coach, and his front right is getting very close to that canvas. And at the moment, Koulos looks like he's got much, much better tyres. Well, okay. I'm not sure where he's going on this one. That's not worked out well. That was
that looks like a possible disconnect there.
Yeah, that definitely looked like either a wheel failure or a disconnect, so that's unfortunate. He was looking good. He had potential for a win there, Sarah.
And as I say, he rage quits. What did I say, Koulos? Keep going. Yeah, unfortunate for Koulos there. Slight disconnect, obviously meaning that he went to the back of the grid and look, a possible rage quit there. But yeah, unfortunate to happen. Something similar happened in Lobby 1.
Ooh,
but
sorry, just looking at Yvonne's tyres, and yeah, that front right is crying at the moment, but she's in P3. That's going to be a good result regardless.
Oh yeah, it is indeed, and obviously we've still got Sabre that's running with that little bit of damage, so the damage not holding him back, but he's just in front of him, so potentially a battle brewing there. Yeah, going back to an earlier point, it's been good to see everyone hosting their own practice sessions, and joining obviously Bertie and Pedro over the weekend for some official practice sessions. It's been good to see everyone getting involved and kind of helping each other out, which is nice to see.
Yeah, that's one thing we're trying to sort of foster in this Nighthawk Racing. Our Discord, particularly, and on track, is the willingness to help each other and improve together. Just have good racing. We're not all about the results. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all want a good result, but we do just want to leave the track with a good big smile on our face, which I imagine quite a few of them are going to be having. It is worth saying that we have had a couple of finishes already. They have just gone over the line after the time limit has expired. So Nick has taken P9 with Simon in P8, so taking the victory over Nick on that one, but we're still yet to come for the rest of the drivers there.
Yeah, and what a sprint race it's been. It's good to see everyone. Well, unfortunately, Koulias had that disconnect, but it's good to see everyone kind of settling into the sprint race. Obviously, only 10 laps, so it's quite hard to settle in. But Lee getting his first podium. I know he's been fighting for that for a while, but gets his first sprint podium.
Yvonne with no front tyre left at all. Bertie P4, Sabre P5, and Hartman P6. But Coach takes the win, Sarah. We've still got Sharon out there, P7.
What a win from Coach there. Once he got out into the lead, there was no stopping him. But a massive shout out to Yvonne as well, because I know beforehand she was mentioning that she was driving on controller, which she's not used to. So to get a P3 when it's your first race back on controller, it's no mean feat. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think Sharon at some point has had a connecting with the barrier, and that Ferrari looks like it's properly damaged, but she's still going to get a P7, so it's a good handful of points. But she unfortunately has also found the Achilles heel of that Ferrari. Those rear tyres, they just shred in some of these tracks, so going to have to be very on top of it when it comes to the brake balance and future races. But good racing overall, Sarah.
Yeah, some really good racing overall, and yeah, if the sprint race has shown us anything to go by, we're in for a good feature race, and I'm excited to go and watch that. Good of you.
So, Sarah, that's the sprint over. Quite an interesting one. Coach coming from the back to take the win, and some really great showings there, I feel, particularly from Lee and Yvonne, who've taken the other podium positions, but Koulias looking strong until that problem, and I've got to say some other standout drives all across the field, and Bertie was another one for me. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, exactly the same as you. It was good to see Coach battling and getting his way back up to the top step of the podium. A very convincing win, and yeah, he always said he wanted that Supra, and I can see why now. But yeah, Lee getting his first podium, sprint race podium, which I'm sure he'll be very happy about. I know that he wanted one for quite a while now, so yeah, he should be very happy with his performance. And yeah, just talking about Yvonne, I knew beforehand that she wasn't. Well, she was a bit kind of nervous about driving on the controller again, but I've got to say, what a race she had.
Yeah, it didn't show. The nervousness didn't show, did it, Sarah?
No, it didn't at all. Getting that third place with conviction. Yeah, leading a couple of laps, and it's very hard to lead one of these lobbies. So she showed what racecraft she has, skill, a lot of talent. So I'm excited to see where some of these drivers finish in the feature race. But yeah, going back to Koulias, looked strong until that point for his disconnect. So potentially, let's see how he gets on in the feature race. Hopefully, we don't have another disconnect from him.
Yep, quite right. And it's worth saying for the feature race that the drivers would be starting on the tyres that they qualified on during the qualifying session, and the drivers have to use 2 different compounds of tyre during this race. Other than that, I think we're ready to go, Sarah. This could be a good one. Coach on pole with Koulias in second. Now, I don't know who my money's on, if I'm honest. And do you know what? I'm looking forward to this one. Let's get into it and enjoy it, shall we?
Yeah, sounds good.
Right, All lights out and they're off, and Coach gets an absolutely terrible start from P1. He's fallen right back through the grid. Koulias has gone into turn 1 in the lead. That's a real upset, I feel, Sarah. Koulias taking the absolute initiative, and he's gone.
Yeah, he wasn't waiting around for nobody. Yeah, unfortunate start there from Coach. We did see it last season, I believe at Suzuka, that Coach had another kind of unfortunate start there. So maybe the start's not his favourite time of the race, but yeah, I was on board with Lee.
Oh,
Lee
Sharon's
making
had a
up a few places. Yeah, that was very close between the two. Lee just going unscathed into fifth, but yeah.
Yep, Sharon's had a spin. She's dropped down to the back of the pack for the moment. Obviously, that Ferrari not being her friend today, but let's see if she can make her way back through. Yeah, and and you're right. Yeah, Coach he's dropped back down to 8th. I mean, that is a horrendous start. But well, he's going to have to pull up that skill he's got and see where he can get back up to. At the moment, Koulias has now got Hartmann for company. So this race is just getting started. Lap 31 almost over. 37 more to go.
Yeah, and what a first lap it's already been. Quite eventful already. And yeah, just going back to Sharon, potentially the Ferrari not being her best friend, especially around this sort of track. But, you know, it doesn't mean that it probably, you know, in the next few races or so, the track might be a little bit more suited to that Ferrari. So, yeah, excited to see how she gets on in the next few races.
Yep. Lee is now challenging Yvonne for P4. He's got the hang of that 911, and he is trying to move forwards. As we're looking on board and on the broadcast cam, here he is coming down into turn 4, taking away, Sarah.
Yeah, just breaks a little bit too early on turn number 4 there, which increases that gap to himself and Yvonne. But Lee will be looking forward, seeing where Yvonne is braking. And saying that, Yvonne goes slightly wide, Lee goes up into the inside and gets the move done.
Yeah.
For the
that will happen.
for the S's here.
It's so easy to outbrake yourself, and that Beetle is it's an interesting car, particularly on the old handling side. So Yvonne's doing well, and on controller as well, as you say. So yeah, Lee P4, and he's going to be relishing this one. So well done, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, a brilliant sprint race. P4 and lap number 2. So yeah, obviously 36 more laps to go, and I'm sure he'll be, you know, trying to fight for that podium position if he can.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be trying. It's worth saying that the top 3 drivers are on the soft tyre as well. Lee is on the medium, I believe. Is that correct, Sarah?
He is indeed. He is on the medium, so he can go that a little bit longer compared to the top 3 drivers. But as we saw in lobby 1, the tyre wear was not treating the drivers very kindly. Some would say that some drivers were driving on minimal tyres, if not any tyres at all. So obviously the same settings are applied here. So potentially tyre wear will cause a little bit of an issue for drivers and traction. So yeah,
it's the name of the game around here. You've got to have tyre life, otherwise you find in this middle section you've got absolutely no pace, and a couple of them out of a bit in the sprint race and in lobby 1, that I can confirm. But Coach up to P5, by the way. He's made his way past Bertie somewhere. We didn't see that. Just caught him passing Yvonne, who's settling into the race. And yeah, Coach up to P5 and on those soft tyres, trying to catch up with Koulias after that very poor start. I mean, that's very unlike Coach, but like you say, I mean, that's maybe a hole in his repertoire. Then he'll be focusing on that for future races as he catches up to the back of Lee on those medium tyres.
Yeah, and obviously some new faces today, very last minute joiners. So the sprint and the feature is probably their kind of first, you know, practice session in a way, and data gathering sessions. So yeah, the new joiners, they'll be kind of, it's a lot of information to process, and to get to grips with. So all new faces doing are really good so far, and yeah, with minimal practice. So it just goes to show how talented these drivers are, really, with doing minimal practice and having performances like these.
Quite right. And it is worth saying, this, even in our lobby too, we are seeing some absolute talent here. I mean, just because it is the second lobby doesn't mean that these guys are not quick. And each and every one of them are doing well at the moment. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Nick. He's still going, and I can tell you what, I'm absolutely amazed by how much he's improved. He's with Simon, who is new to the game and new to our championship as well, who's also doing very well, considering he hasn't even got tens of hours on this game yet, let alone hundreds or 1,000 like some of the other drivers in the lobby. So absolutely cracking so far. And Sharon, again, doing herself justice. P8, that Ferrari's a little bit of a handful at times, but she's got the whole season to get used to it. And then yeah, going up through the field. Do you want to take from 7 upwards, Sarah?
I can indeed. 7th, we have one of our Nighthawk Racing admin team members. We have Bertie. I'll pass you over to Midnight, but we know he's 3 things, Midnight, and what are they? We
know exactly 3 things about Bertie. He's big, he's crazy, and he's named Bertie.
That's actually Dave, but
Shush.
You know,
don't you start.
We'll skip that. But yeah, Bertie taking the 7th place currently, not too far behind Yvonne, who is in 6th place. Again in that Beetle, settling into the race nicely. Ahead of Yvonne, in 5th place we have Lee, back in his favourite car, back in the Porsche, and just in the distance there we can see our 4th place, which currently is Coach in the Supra. A slightly different car from what he had last season. Coach was driving the Genesis last season, and I think you wouldn't be able to tell on the Discord, but I think your Coach is quite a fan of the Supra. So hopefully a car that's suited to him, and you can definitely tell it's suited to him with how fast he's catching Sabre in front of him.
Does he like the Supra? Does he like Supra? I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to notice either. It's almost like he was fighting for the Supra to be added, but yeah.
But it's worth saying though, he did have a good sprint race last season. He took a sprint race victory. And
he did.
I can't remember which race it was to save my life. Was it the Dragon Trail Gardens, or was it I can't remember now.
Dragon Trail does ring a bell, but we'll have to go back and have a look at that. But yeah, in the Supra, a car that's like I say, Coach knows and is quite familiar with, so I'm sure throughout the season he'll get some good results in that car. Just in front of him, in 3rd place, the final podium position at the moment, we have Sabre, also known as Haslett, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah, in the BMW, which is one of those cars. If you get to grips with it quite quickly, it's a good car, a nice stable car. But yeah, currently in P3. Coach not that far behind, so I think Hassett will be looking in front and behind.
Sorry.
Yeah, in 2nd place.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say this battle is forming up. I was going to say maybe we might be seeing a move in a minute, but Hartman's got a penalty, so I'll let you go back to that one, Sarah.
Well, near on perfect time in there. But yeah, in 2nd place we have Hartman. Unfortunately, like Midnight just said, picking up that penalty, which doesn't cost him too much in the long run. Koulios just in his eye shot still into turn 1. But yeah, Hartman also going with the RCF, a car that we saw our last Season 1's champion Swizzy driving earlier in Lobby 1, and having a few tyre wear issues. So if anything, I think Hartman might be in the same sort of boat with the car. Obviously 7 laps in, the soft tyres looking a little bit worse for wear, but driving a phenomenal race so far. And then to round off the grid at the moment, we have Koulios in 1st, and yeah, Koulios in 1st doesn't happen a lot, but it's good to see him in first, and hopefully, well, I mean, not hopefully, but it looks like he's found a car that kind of suits him nicely, which is good to see, and a nice looking livery, I must add.
A Pedro special, I believe.
I believe, yeah, and yeah, a very convincing lead at the moment. Got out into first place, hasn't looked back since. I'm sure he'll be checking his rearview mirror from time to time, but yeah, just focusing on doing himself proud. 7 laps in.
Yeah, he's driving that car like he stole it. So nice one, Koulias.
Did he?
I said like, because I cannot confirm. But it's worth saying he's only just turned 18 years of age in the last week or two. So showing a lot of experience beyond his age at the moment, Sarah. And do you know what? It's impressive so far. Hopefully he doesn't have another end to the race like he did in the sprint. But so far so good. Let's not try and jinx it. Commentators' curses are famous around here.
They are indeed.
Somewhere, coach has got to P3, by the way.
Yeah, potentially.
Loving that Supra.
Yeah, I was gonna say loving that Supra and happy with the last lap or so. Maybe a potentially an issue for Sabre there. Not quite sure. But yeah, I mean, all drivers settling into the race. 8 laps in, still 30 more laps to go. So yeah, a lot of the drivers at this point are in it for the long haul. They'll probably, at this stage, they'll be starting to think about strategies. Potentially, it's always that way. You think of a strategy before the race throws different things towards you, and then sometimes you might have to change your strategy a little bit, or you stick with it. But yeah, I think a lot of the drivers at this point will be kind of thinking, right, when do I have to pit? What tyres am I going on to? How much fuel I have to take on. We saw some unique strategies in Lobby 1. We saw quite a few people doing a double pit during the race. A race that I don't think anyone did a one stop. We saw one person, Sophia, go onto hards, but the hards did lose her quite a lot of time, so I'm not sure if drivers in Lobby 2 will be going on the hard tyres, but we'll see.
We shall see indeed. I mean, it's worth saying that the lobbies have been run at the same time. We do not know what the strategy is for these drivers, and this is going to be an interesting one to see how it pans out. And as you said, the Lobby 1 with Sophia on the hards, it didn't work out, but you've got to try it round here. The tyre wear is fairly substantial, particularly on that front right tyre. As you can see with looking at Koulias at the moment, it is starting to wear out. It's fairly uniform across the fronts, but you can see with some of the cars that the front right tyre is absolutely dying. Yellow flag somewhere in sector 2. I had seen Nick had been off the road previously and he's got front right damage, and I think we're lapping Nick at the moment. He gets out of the way of Koulias nicely, and he does done well there, so carrying a bit of damage. He's adhering to the blue flags, and yeah, he's getting out of the way of the other ladies and gents coming up past him. And Sharon, who's in the pits already, not enjoying those tyres that she had, Sarah.
No, and like I referred to earlier,
oh, Hartman's in.
Drivers, yeah, quite early for Hartman there. Potentially, repairing some damage, getting on a fresh set of rubber. Yeah, a lot of drivers in the Lobby 1 found out that the tyre wear was definitely not their best friend in the race today. We saw quite a few people pitting quite early on to get onto some fresh tyres. But yeah, interesting to see that 10 laps in we've had a few people pitting. But yeah, a lot of drivers going for that soft tyre to start off with, for the initial speed off of the start line. And 10 laps in, it's going well so far.
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Yeah, likewise. We're definitely in that zone where the tyres are starting to give up, particularly those soft runners. You can see drivers like Lee who are on those mediums with loads of tyre life left. He's going to be able to go probably another 5 or 6 laps. I mean, he might be fuel limited rather than tyre limited at this point. So at the moment, we might see Lee pick up the lead for a little bit in a moment. But yeah, looking at that Sabre, his front right he's about to give up. That front right is going to be retired soon as it starts to go wide at the final corner. Same goes to Coach. And Koulios is in as well with his lovely magenta and aqua and black colour set. I mean, that actually looks quite good. So, nice one, Koulios. And he's in. Coach goes around for another lap. So, clearly, Coach feeling he's got another lap of tyre life left in there as he picks up P1 to lead a lap. And Sabre's in as well. Yeah, they're all coming in, Sarah. All those soft runners.
Yeah, I think, like Lobby One shown as well, that the soft tyre definitely has a kind of a expected shelf life. It's that getting that sweet spot of, right, what can I drive? Because we saw quite a few people going to fully red tyres, but it's finding that sweet spot of what's happy for you. Because I know for me, for certain, as soon as I've got minimal tyre left, I'm drifting all over the place. So yeah, a lot of drivers, like we saw in Lobby 1, when the tyre wear does get that bad, it's, do I risk it and go out for keep it out for another lap, or do I just get on a fresh set of tyres and try and pull away for a little bit?
Yeah, it's always that tricky decision, isn't it? Do you go for the need and the desire of wanting to go for more grip and stay out, or stay out rather? Yeah, it's always a tricky one. So at the end of the day, if you're in the driver's seat, you're the only one who can take that decision for you, unless you have a race engineer, perhaps. But as we always know, the race engineers don't always get listened to. But that is besides the point. It sounds like I have a personal gripe there. I honestly don't. But that's what I've heard in the past. And Coach, he's definitely doing his own thing. He's not listening to a race engineer at all. He's still going round. He's basically got a flat on the front right, Sarah. Yeah,
like I just said, obviously Coach feeling comfortable enough to drive that Supra on, like you say, basically flat tyre. But it depends. If he's used to driving the tyres fully red, then it won't pose much of a challenge for Coach. But I know for me, for certain, I'd be drifting all over the place. So yeah, and,
me and you both.
In Lobby 1, obviously then it reduces the amount of traction that you have coming out of certain corners, and especially a twisty, turny track like this, you want all the traction you can get, really.
Agreed. So at the moment, I'm thinking strategy-wise. I mean, Koulios has got those. He's got a full tank of fuel and a lovely set of new medium tyres. Not as quick as the softs, but they're definitely going to be quicker than knackered old softs. So, are we going to see, say, Coach try and go for not a one stop, but definitely a two stop, with Koulios trying a three stop and just trying to be faster over the course of the race? I mean, I think at the moment the race is between those two. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree with you there. It's good to see so many people fighting for positions, and Bertie just is quite close to Yvonne now, so he's getting in the mix of it as well. So yeah, I think it's a bit too early to call a winner and call the podium positions just yet. Like I said earlier, I think drivers will be kind of like pumped, excited, and towards the end of the race, we'll be looking to make up as many positions as possible and pick up as many points as they can. Agreed.
Just eyeballing the times of Coach. He's now lapping nearly 3.5 seconds slower than when he did on, well, I'm not going to say fresh tyres, but definitely tyres that were not expired, shall we say. And very, very soon he's going to be dead on the rear right tyre as well. He's definitely It's taken a lot of skill to get that car around the track in that time with that state of tyres. I mean, think about driving a car with like a 50 pence piece wheel. That's probably what that kind of feels like at this point. But he's definitely starting to lose time. And if you compare it to Koulios, he's definitely lapping at least a second a lap faster at the moment. And that probably wasn't the clearest of laps for Koulios. So, coach pushing his luck, I feel, still.
Yeah, potentially, maybe.
He's going around again, Sarah.
Yeah, go around again with basically no tyres on that right-hand side. So maybe he's putting all of his faith into that left-hand side, you know, to get some traction. But yeah, he's a brave man. That's all I'm gonna say.
One thing I want to draw attention to is I know you're looking at Bertie at the moment. He is the absolute tyre whisperer, that guy. He's on soft tyres, done 13 laps, and it's still good.
Yeah.
As Yvonne pits from the mediums. How does Bertie do that? I mean, can he at least tell me how he does it so I can find out how to do it for my racing?
I was going to say, we need some tips, Bertie.
Yeah, I mean, that is outstanding.
Very similar to Callum in Lobby 1. He was the Lobby 1 tyre whisperer in that McLaren. He held onto tyres for quite a while. Longer than we expected, and I think longer than a lot of people expected. So, I mean, if you've got that skill of, you know, saving the tyres for that a little bit more, it definitely helps for strategies, and it definitely helps towards the end of the race. So yeah, good job, Bertie. And yeah, 14 laps in on those soft tyres. Doing well.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing so far. But will we see Coach come in on the 14th lap? No, he's going to keep going. And Yvonne, by the way, has gone to the hard tyre with that Beetle. Obviously, suffering with tyre wear, which
yeah, but like I said when Sophia went on hards, the hard tyres on this game isn't kind of the preferred tyre choice. Just because, I mean, from personal experience, I find them quite difficult to drive on. And kind of not in the right not right for me. I miss my braking points when I'm on the
yeah, I'm right with you. You can feel like driving on ice, like a
exactly that. You're driving with ice blocks as wheels. But I mean, if Yvonne can pull off the hards to the end, she might be able to hold track position. But yeah, a hard tyre, not a tyre that we see often, but if the physics of the hard tyre was slightly better, definitely kind of be a better option. But in the current state of those hard tyres, I'm not sure.
Yeah, on a twisty. Oh, Koulios is gone. He's off at turn 4. Just went on board with him at that moment. He's had. Unfortunately, a big yeet out of turn 4 and Hartman gets by, but he spun it around and carried on going. That was a heart-stopping, Sarah. Maybe he was hearing that talk about the hard tyres, and then he was like, oh, I want to emulate that, but he's back on it. That won't have lost him.
Really lost to catch his attention there. You definitely called it Koulios. You caught our attention there. And luckily, it picks up no damage.
Yeah, he was lucky to avoid the barrier, but I think it's not going to lose him too much time, maybe 7 or 8 seconds, but that time that Coach has been losing on the aged soft tyres, shall we say, that's going to be sort of negated. So, actually lost him 13. That is costly. So, hopefully he calms down, gathers it up again, and goes again, because that's the last thing he needed.
Yeah, he will definitely. What's the word? It'll probably be a little bit in shock there. Obviously, after doing it 14 times perfectly, and then that one time when you go that little bit wider, or you break that little bit later, it just throws a different sort of challenge your way. So
I know the exact term: squeaky bum time.
Exactly that, or code brown. You know.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
But yeah, Koulios getting away with no damage. Very lucky there.
I tell you what, though, I'm actually massively impressed with Coach. He's doing such consistent lap times on dead tyres. I mean, I would not want to be out in that car in those conditions around this course at all.
No, like I said, a braver man than. Well, I'm not a man, but you know what I meant.
He's a braver man than us.
A braver person than what I am, yeah. To go on those tyres for that long. Basically, stringing it out for as long as he can. And doing well at it.
Yeah, I again want to give another shout out to Simon. I think he's just been lapped by Lee, but I have to say it again. I know I've already said it, but this gent only has a handful of hours on this game at all, and yet he's running quite nicely, and I've not seen him make any mistakes at all so far. So absolute kudos to the gent, and we will see him improve throughout the series, and hopefully get some good racing under his belt.
Yeah, and all time out on track helps. It's although obviously it's an official session. I can't speak then. Official session. A lot of drivers, like I said earlier, will be kind of using it for data purposes, for future races, but also time on track, racing with others. It definitely does help boost your confidence and kind of learning as you go, especially with these sort of drivers here. A very talented bunch of people, so to be racing alongside them, I'm sure a lot of drivers will be kind of learning some tips and tricks along the way.
Agreed. I'll tell you what, I just went on board Herculeos, where the sun is setting now. When you can see a downshift in the car, you get a nice little exhaust blip. Oh, I've just seen Hartman's been off. He's been into the barrier, front end damage. Stop that point. Yes. Stop that point, front end damage. That's gonna. It won't hurt the handling too much, but it will definitely hurt the top end speed. So, and this is. It's not at the beginning of his stint, but it's definitely not at the end point. So he's going to be hurting. He might have to change his strategy as Lee also comes in before Coach.
I'm surprised. Is Coach going to the end on those tyres?
Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming in this lap because he's going to need fuel at some point, and I don't think he's going to be the racing equivalent of a Jesus and walk on no fuel. So there's a mixed metaphor in there somewhere, but you get the idea.
Yeah, obviously Lee going on to the mediums, taking on some fuel as well.
Hartman's in as well, so he's repairing that damage.
Yeah, like you just referred to, as soon as you pick up damage, it's can you deal with it, or if it's too much, do I change my strategy to come in and fix it? And most of the time, especially on GT7, it's better to come in a little bit earlier than expected, get it fixed, and then feel comfortable again.
Agreed. I've just noticed something, and so I don't know how we didn't spot this earlier on. Bertie is running in P2. Right. We know he hasn't stopped. Coach is running in P2. We're nearly halfway through the race. These guys are one stopping.
Yeah.
How?
Question. I wish I had the answer for that.
Answers on a postcard to what the hell, PO Box, what the hell.
.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who needs tyres anyway?
Clearly. And Coach has gone round again, so clearly doesn't need fuel either.
In a moment, Coach is going to be driving on basically no tyres whatsoever. Basically be driving on rails on that point. Yeah, I mean, like I say, to kind of control that car that well with no tyres, he's doing a phenomenal job so far.
Sarah,
obviously, yes.
I've just had a nasty thought. Do you think he had a poor start at right at the beginning of the race on purpose?
Oh.
He's been sitting behind people and saving fuel.
Ooh.
Have we just seen a master tactician at work?
Maybe, potentially. I wouldn't put it past Coach.
And he's in, finally. With probably no fuel and yeah, some old coins as as his wheels. Wow, that was amazing stint. And Bertie, exact same. A couple of seconds down the road in P2 at the moment. Koulias now rapidly catching in P3.
Yeah, and obviously, Koulias with the fastest lap of the race so far as well. Yeah, obviously both Bertie and Coach driving quite well with not a lot of tyres, but yeah, I mean, what I don't even know how to describe that really. Coach basically driving on no tyres, but still in the lead. Obviously, I think slightly reflected on his lap times, being slightly slower than say Koulias and the people around him. But I think it definitely helps strategy-wise if you're able to potentially go to the end.
Yeah, and I was just having a quick eyeball of it. Just as Koulias went by, he's taken up the lead again. Coach, as they were refueling, because he's obviously going to go to the end, they were on essentially the same fuel load as Koulias went by. Now, that's not going to mean too much. I mean, obviously one's standing, one's out on track. But to me, I still think this is race on for the win, even for Koulias. Just the sheer fact that he's going to be going so much faster. And yeah, as Koulias passed, they were kind of essentially neck and neck. So, I still think this is race on, Sarah. This could be an absolutely outstanding race for Koulias or an outstanding race for Coach. But either way, well done, lads.
Yeah, I mean, what a great showing that we're having so far. And obviously 18 laps to go. It looks like Koulias might potentially have the pit again. So it will bring Coach and himself a little bit closer together towards the end, which I think we'll all be looking forward to seeing. But yeah, I mean, like I said for Lobby 1, like I'm going to say for Lobby 2, all drivers showing us how it's done. We've got a talented bunch of drivers here, and it's a pleasure to watch everybody race, and it has been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to kind of looking how everyone progresses through the season. So
yeah, quite right.
Doing a good job so far.
Quite right, and I've just been keeping an eye on the ladies Yvonne and Sharon. They're both doing very, very well. Obviously, two drivers that you know very well from racing in another series, and they're doing themselves proud. Doing themselves proud.
Yeah, obviously honourable mention as well. Yvonne, obviously one of the admin and founders of the Screen to Speed Cup, and racing here in the Beetle. Not an easy car to handle, but she's doing a great job so far.
Sorry, as soon as you said that, it would come absolutely sideways out of turn 3. Couldn't have timed that any better.
Drifting it like a boss. But yeah, it's good to see her racing. It's good to see her driving a car that you don't get to see very often. Yeah, and then switching to Sharon also. Yeah, me and her had some battles in the Screen to Speed Cup, and looking forward to the next season of that. But yeah, always respectful, always clean racing between us two. So yeah, she's doing a good job so far. Settling into the race nicely, I think, and a nice looking livery as well. But yeah, I think most of the drivers here, they'll be kind of using, race number 1 as settling into the championship, so not pushing themselves too hard, but obviously knowing that the results they get today could help them towards the end of the season.
Right. I've just seen a bunch of headlights coming on a lot of the cars, so it's definitely getting a bit darker out on that track. I do believe it will stay light through the race, but we might get a bit closer towards twilight. But lovely setting here at Interlagos, watching these cars go around and watch people demonstrate all of their skills.
Yeah, it's a beautiful scene to see.
Tell you what, I'm going to finish the point I started a while back. Every time you see a downshift on the BRZ, because you see it on Koulios's car and obviously Bertie's car as well, both running the BRZ, gives a lovely little backfire out the exhaust out the side. Looks gorgeous. Something for an Instagram photo later on, Sarah. But in the meantime, should we do a rundown?
Yeah, can do. If you would like to start us off.
No problem. I will do exactly that. I'll do top 5. You do bottom 5. We'll go from there.
Oh.
Awesome. Right, we have Koulios in P1 at the moment. He's had one stop so far, soft onto the medium tyres, and he's definitely going to have to stop again because he has not got enough fuel to get to the end. But currently leading. Sadly, has had one bit of an incident. I think it was at that same corner, turn 4, as the sprint race, but this time it was just a little spin, but he's still out there leading in P1. So cracking so far. But let's see where we can end up on the end sheet. So keep going, Koulios, and do yourself proud. In P2 we have Saber Venom, which I believe is Haslett, and again doing well, particularly riding high in P2 at the moment. Again with a stop to come, and yeah, very impressive so far, and a new entry to our series. So a pleasure to have him here. P3 Coach, the man who does not apparently need to stop. Well, occasionally he does, just like once per race, and that's his limit. So at the moment looking very, very solid in P3, looking for that win, but I think Koulios is going to be wanting to take it off him, so he's going to have to try his damnedest, particularly to stay ahead of Koulios and even Saber at the moment, who's actually catching. So race is on, and we might see Coach make his way up to P2 in a minute. P4, Hartmann, again another new gent to our series, and we will see a couple of these drivers with the full Nighthawk Racing spec liveries in the future, but it's great to just have them on the grid. So another gent from America, and doing the country proud as far as I'm concerned. And the final of the top 5, Lee, one of our season 1 drivers, again doing absolutely brilliantly. I still think he's got another stop to go, unless he can stretch out those soft tyres on that 911. But he's in a car that he's very, very happy to be in, and well, it shows with his driving, and running high in P5 at the moment. So I think he might get a Nighthawk Racing Series best for P5. Although I'm not sure, did he get a P4 last year somewhere? I should have checked the results before I went into this one. But yeah, he's doing himself proud and doing very well as he comes down the back straight, and very consistent. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oh, thought we lost you there for a moment, Sarah.
No. I'm still here. I was just taking in all the information that you were saying. No, sitting back for a moment, taking it all in. But yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with Lee. Obviously, podium in our sprint race, which was good to see, and I know he's been wanting one for quite a while. So obviously we've got, what was that, 14 laps left. I'm sure we'll be looking to get closer to Hartmann in front. But yeah, just behind Lee we have one of our Nighthawk Racing admin team, Big Crazy Birdie, in that Subaru. Like Midnight said, a car that we don't get to see too much, but we're seeing quite a few drivers picking it in this championship, so it's good to see the car being used, and what a car it is, and yeah, what a driver Bertie is as well. He's doing well. P6 with 14 laps to go. In 7th we have one of the ladies. We have Yvonne in the Beetle, settling it into the race nice and smooth, showing us her talent and her skill. that Beetle. Just behind Yvonne, we then have Sharon, PA, in the Ferrari, who's just coming in for potentially last stop. Has to take in a little bit of fuel, maybe a fresh set of rubber. But just behind her, we then have Simon in that Mazda RX Vision. Like Midnight said earlier, doing a phenomenal job for his first race of the season, and probably his first competitive race on the game. So he's doing a phenomenal job so far, and I'm excited to see how he improves as the season goes on. Rounding out our grid tonight, we then have our very own Nick in that Renault. Like we said earlier, it's been amazing to see the progression of Nick and his driving. He's doing a phenomenal job so far, and yeah, keep going, Nick. We're all proud of you. Yeah, as we go back on board with Koulios back in the lead, I'm sure he'd be happy with that.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be, Sarah. And yeah, I have to say I'm absolutely proud of all of our drivers so far. I don't think anyone's had the perfect race thus far, but that's something to strive for, in my opinion. So keep going, and again, the one thing I am seeing is Koulios trying his luck. That's one thing I'm definitely seeing. Getting a bit squirrely coming out of the final corner. So nice one. And holds it, and he's I think he's actually coming in for his final pit stop, Sarah. So bit of a strategic movement going. Yep, Koulios into the pits. He's going to get off those medium tyres. He's got to be going to the softs, isn't he? He's going to be pushing Coach for the win. So where's Coach on the track? He's coming around the final corner also. So ooh, this is going to build a bit towards the end, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Obviously, if Koulios does go over to that soft set tyres, be slightly faster towards the end.
Yeah, Coach has got Hartman somewhere on the track, who is also followed by Venom. Hartman and Sabre, or Haslett rather, has gone up to P2 and P3 in the meantime, but I believe both of these gents are still to pit for the final time as they get Hartman just passing Simon and going off the track a little bit. So that was an interesting one. Fortunately, a bit too far off the track, picks up a penalty. Unfortunate.
Yeah. A little bit unfortunate there. Maybe, I guess, second guessing himself as to how to pass Simon. But yeah, a penalty that probably won't cost him too much at the moment. As we see Koulios leaving the pits, getting out behind Lee. So he'll be looking to get back on that charge now. Trying to get that top spot of the podium again.
Absolutely agree. And do you know what? Understated drive of the day as well. Lee, he always in season 1 got decent, solid points results because he was just super consistent, stayed out of trouble, and he's doing exactly the same again. Running currently P4, probably still to pit. Do you know what? Will he do a Coach and just go to the end? I think he's got the fuel to do it. I don't know if he's got the tyre life.
Yeah, it depends how comfortable he is with racing minimal tyres. Obviously, we know he loves the push. We know how good he is in the push. So but there is a potential there that he might go to the end and maybe not pit again. But I think he'll probably pit again. I mean, I personally like the security of knowing that I've got that. I've got the tyres if needs be for any last minute battles that may happen.
Yeah, got that grip. That's exactly what you need. And at the moment, he's going to have Koulios absolutely bearing down on him as Koulios is trying to actually put a lap on Sharon at the moment. And just seen off screen with your point of view, Hartman and Haslett have pitted. The DSR guys to pit together. I think they're running the same strategies. What do you think, Sarah?
Potentially, it wouldn't surprise me. We'll see. If it works out for one of them, it'll work out for both of them if they're on the same strategy. But yeah, both going onto the soft set of tyres to the end. 10 laps to go. So yeah, potentially helping each other out, which is good to see. Providing a little bit of information.
Ooh, a couple of battles building there. I think the DSR guys are going to be fighting each other, and they're going to be fighting Bertie. And then I also think Lee's going to come into that mix as well. I think he's going to have to pit for soft tyres towards the end, but he's not going to have to take on as much fuel as the other guys. He had a lot more fuel than the other gents, the DSR gents, at their last stop. So it's going to be a quick splash and dash for him, and a new set of soft tyres. Unless he goes to the end, which... oh, no, there we go. I will shut up. He's in the pits. So, rang the neck of that 911 coming in the pits. So, splash and dash, some fuel, and then he's going to be out. I think there's going to be like a 3 or 4 way battle for P4.
Yeah, I think so too.
And
it's good to see that kind of how close the drivers are to each other.
Yeah. And looking at the moment, we've got Koulos coming to the end of Sector 1, and we've got Coach in Sector 2 at the moment. But there's one thing we do know. Coach is on reasonably worn medium tyres with fuel that will just get him to the end. And Koulos is going to be breathing down his neck with absolutely brand spanking new soft tyres. So that's going to build.
Yeah, it is indeed. And the question is, will Koulos be able to catch up before the end of the race?
Well, I think I've got the answer to if Hartmann and Haslett are going to catch Bertie. I can see them in the same shot.
I've got a little bit of a conundrum.
Hit me.
Lee pits and goes onto the hard tyres for 9 laps. I wonder why.
That's interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe potentially clicking the wrong one?
Yes. Unless he is of the thinking that you have to run each compound. That is an interesting one. That's not one I expected today. And unfortunately I just catch Nick just running a little bit wide in the hairpin there, but that won't affect him too badly.
Potentially might put him out of contention.
I think it will. I mean, those hard tyres are not as quick as he'd like.
No, and it takes him a little bit longer to warm up as well. So obviously we've only, what is it now? 8 laps to go. A surprising tyre choice. 8 laps to go.
Maybe he's doing research.
Maybe.
He's doing tyre testing for an upcoming change of compound. Perhaps.
Perhaps, like I say, it's data gathering at the end of the day. First race, so yeah, potentially. But yeah, a lot of drivers pit in for the final time going on that soft set of tyres so they're a little bit faster and got the traction down as quick as they can. Obviously the exit speeds around here are crucial, as well as those apexes, tight corners. So
I agree with that. Somewhere on the track, Hartmann has gotten past Bertie. I'm going to stay with this one. If you want to go on board with Haslett, Sabre, and we're going to watch as Sabre catches up to Bertie, because I think this is a move in the making as he gets a bit squirrely coming out of the final corner. That's phrase of the day, but it's also accurate. I think it's just a matter of time, Sarah. What do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, the tyre. Let me just go over to Bertie. The tyre wear on Sabre's softs are a little bit better than Bertie's mediums. Obviously, the softs being slightly faster as well. So, I believe Sabre or Haslett will be gearing up for a move shortly.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Bertie has shown us he is the absolute tyre whisperer, but he's got to use them tyres to defend, I feel. So he's got to go aggressive, just like that exhaust blowing out into the atmosphere. I mean, that is beautiful. That's what we want to see with esports, and it looks gorgeous. So Come on, Bertie, let's have a good result for the Nighthawk Racing admin. But otherwise, Sarah, any surprise results out there so far?
I've got to say, Koulios for sure. Obviously going into the first race of season 2, he probably didn't predict himself, or we didn't predict that he would do so well around here in that BRZ. But it's good to see him doing well, and like I say, it's good to see him finding a car that is suited to him around a track that he's driven a few times. So yeah, got to say, I think Koulios are very surprising. If you can finish where he's obviously at the moment, you know, with 6 laps to go. But yeah, very surprising. Apart from that, just all round really, some good clean racing, respectful, and providing us with a lot of entertainment throughout the race.
I would agree with you on that. Both himself and Coach have been exceptional today. Coach, that's quite frankly bizarre, but made it work strategy. So can't argue that. One thing I really like about the BRZ as well, I'm not falling in love with the car, I promise you. But you can see the reflection of the tail lights in the rear wing. I think that's absolutely gorgeous, and that exhaust. So good choice of the car. And we have Yvonne coming in for a last-minute pit stop with 6 laps to go in P7. So maybe going for again a splash and dash, and hopefully some soft tyres.
Yeah, obviously there, I think, needing to pick up a little bit of fuel, obviously to make it towards the end. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what tyre she goes on now. The softs, that's a tyre that I thought she'd go on. Like I say, splash and dash, get back out there and set some good lap times. But yeah, I mean, ever since Koulios set that fastest lap, no one's been able to overthrow him just as yet.
Yeah, exactly that. We've got Sharon, who is just coming down the back straight at the moment. I thought we might be on for a race there between Sharon and Yvonne, but yeah, Yvonne's gone down to turn 4 before Sharon gets there, and on those fresh soft tyres, he's just going to be taking that beetle, and I'm not going to call it that, the yeetle, down into turn 5 and whatnot. So it's going to be, after those hard tyres, absolutely relishing those soft tyres. And as you said earlier on the controls today, and not feeling entirely at home without being with the wheel, but doing a great job nonetheless.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, Coach, obviously, another surprising performance. I mean, surprising, yes, but surprising no at the same time. We all know how talented Coach is, both on and off the grid. A massive shout out to Coach. He managed to get our logo, the Nighthawk Racing logo, onto GT7, which should be available if people want to put it on their cars and show our logo to the world. We do appreciate it. But yeah, a massive shout out to Coach for doing that, and for also providing us and showing us his talent in a race car.
Yeah, quite right, and he's done a lovely job of his own livery as well. And absolute shout out to him for the work he did behind the scenes, particularly with the logo. And as we all know, well, I say all know, anyone who's tried to put a decal on GT7 has been met with a very hard limit of 15 kilobytes. Very difficult to do in an SVG format. Too technical for me today, but yeah, if anyone needs to do it, ask Coach how to do it. we'll send a little bit of work his way. And out of respect, going to say, as a graphic designer, and quite frankly, doing very well. I can't think of a pun line to do a graphic design, but he's definitely showing us what he's made of, and putting on a good display, perhaps.
Yeah, and obviously Kyrgios not being too close, which means coach has some breathing room. He's able to relax a little bit, not too much obviously, because you can never relax fully when you're in the lead, because of unexpected things can happen with 3 laps to go.
Ocon and Verstappen.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sorry.
Coach will be keeping his foot to the floor. See, I think he'll be glancing a couple of times in his rearview mirror, but he'll be just focusing on enjoying the race, enjoying the lead.
Quite right. And it's worth us saying that we have a background in the F1 world, and I couldn't not mention that, particularly at this track, is where a couple of years ago Ocon tried to overtake Verstappen into turn 1, unlapping himself, and then that ended up in a fight. So yes, as Sarah was saying, you have to keep concentration to the end, not take out anyone, not have a spin, and get yourself that position and that you've rightfully earned over the last, in this case, 35 laps. And worth saying also, Sarah, we've got 6 drivers still on the lead lap, and and everyone out there has done themselves proud, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better. Everyone's done themselves really proud. I mean, all of us here at Nighthawk Racing are super proud of all the drivers, everyone involved. Like I said for the Lobby 1, it's not possible without phenomenal drivers like all the drivers that we've seen tonight across the 2 lobbies. So yeah, a massive kind of appreciation to drivers for being fast, for being talented, but most importantly, letting us have a few hours of your time to compete in the season. We really do appreciate it, and like I say, it's a pleasure watching you race around here and other tracks.
Yeah, and we have another 7 races to come this season. We've still got a couple of laps left of this race as darkness is descending. But yes, we still have another 7 races of the season, which each will have a sprint race, which will be up first in the next race, followed by qualifying for the feature race, so we get a slightly different format. But yeah, I mean, seriously, tune in for all the races, but particularly right from the beginning, because the sprint race will be in reverse championship order, so we're going to have action from minute 1 to right to the end. And the feature race itself, well, that speaks for itself. It's the feature for a reason. You get to see drives like we've seen from Coach and Koulos, despite it being into P2. And what is more to be said then, quite frankly, there's lots of good visuals tonight. And yes, I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have too, Sarah.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Watching everyone, doing an amazing job, especially for the first race of the season. It can be one of those high pressurized races because it's the first one. You're not quite sure what to expect. You're not quite sure of obviously the drivers around you. You don't know who's going to be your closest competitor. So yeah, it's all go for race number.
Agreed. And Hartmann just picked himself up a half-second penalty for running wide at turn 3. I think he got under the rear wing of Yvonne, and yeah, when you get under a rear wing in this in GT7, you absolutely have no front end grip, particularly when the tyres are worn. So learned a very costly lesson there, but yeah, it's not going to cause him too much of a problem. He's got a nice gap to hassle it. But Bertie stayed with him. So these gents are going to be racing to the end. I do think this might be a race right to the end. It might. I think they'll be alright on fuel, but yeah, they're going to be pushing each other to the end. Still wondering why Lee chose those hard tyres.
Same. Like I say, maybe some data gathering. But yeah, I think obviously put him out of the contention a little bit. higher positions. But I was just looking at the lobby, and we've been treated to a little bit of night racing.
We have. It does look gorgeous, though, doesn't it?
It does look it looks very cool. And the cars look great. And I've got to say, I've enjoyed having a look at all the creativity of the drivers with their liveries. Some drivers who were last minute joiners, fortunately couldn't make liveries in time, but now they're in and raring to go. I'm sure by race number 2 they will show, well, we'll both show, and they'll show their creativity and what they can make of those cars.
Quite right. Sarah, we're just about there. We're on the final lap. Coach is rounding the final corner. I feel you should take this one away, and we'll give Coach his due for the upcoming win as he comes around the final corner down the pit straight.
Yeah, and he's got a smidging of tyre life left in that front right as he crosses the line and wins our first feature race of Lobby 2. What a phenomenal drive on the. I think he's the master of driving with no tyre. But coming home in second, we then have Koulios. What a phenomenal job from Koulios. Like we say, he's got occasionally some really good performances, and today is definitely one of them. In P3, just behind, we have Hartman just about to finish. We also have Nick that's about crossing the line at the same time. And
Yvonne as well.
Yep, Yvonne. Then have Saber or Haslett in P4.
He's pulling Bertie along with him. Another couple of laps, Bertie.
I was going to say, if the race was any longer, Bertie would definitely be looking to overtake Haslett. But yeah, what a drive from those two. As we go on board with Lee, who's just coming across that final corner, about to cross the finish line. But yeah, again, slightly.
He's going to do donuts, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Of course. Okay. There's always got to be one.
Yes. I mean, if you've got the gap to do it, yeah. But interesting way to finish the race, indeed. But yeah, a good race from everybody, and yeah. I mean, what a first feature race. That was some good racing there.
Yeah, can't deny that. That was a cracking race from all of the other Lobby 2 drivers who... this is the first time most of them have raced together, or in some cases raced at all. So nothing but compliments to each and every one of them. Coach coming away with that win, with that, quite frankly, unique and devastating strategy. Koulios, he will... do you know what? I think he might come away with that stunningly pleased, but wonder what he could have done if it wasn't for the spin. That said, Sarah, sets him up good for the rest of the season, don't you think?
Yeah, if this first race is anything to go by for season 1 of Nighthawk Racing, then we're in some good racing and some good entertainment as well. I've got to say, I've been thoroughly entertained throughout this race here, and like you said earlier, we've got a talented bunch of people, both in Lobby 1 and Lobby 2, so it's been a pleasure to watch everybody. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the season has drivers. I'm excited to see where in the championship they end up towards the end. Exactly
that. I just want to give a shout out to all of the drivers out there. Hartman, again, he's new with Nighthawk Racing. He did a very good, consistent race today. We've mentioned Coach Lee, again, a returning driver. Interesting strategy, but made it work, and has definitely come away with a good result today. Sharon, another new driver to us. Definitely a tricky car with that Ferrari, but has done very, very well. Yvonne, that Yeatle, yeah, again, another interesting strategy, but on the controller as well, so out of her comfort zone and doing brilliantly. And yeah, any other shout-outs you want to do? But before you do so, I just want to mention Simon and Nev, great improvement, particularly from where they were either in Season 1 or even earlier this week. And Bertie, our own admin, who hosted the lobby, thank you very much, and well done for the good result yourself.
Yeah, to be fair, exactly the same. I've got to say, thoroughly impressed with Nick and Simon. You could see throughout the race that they were improving every lap that they did, finding some new kind of, some racing lines, doing really well. And considering obviously Simon's just very, very new to the game, to have completed his first competitive race
Without incident, might I add.
without incident, that's no mean feat, and should be very proud of himself.
Yep.
But apart from that, I mean, coach driving on basically no tyres, showing us, who needs tyres anyway. But apart from that, good showings all round. Yvonne and Sharon again, both phenomenal drivers, and I'm sure they'll be looking ahead to race number 2, and
let's bring on race 2, event 2.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Exactly, exact same, and we've got an interesting grid across lobbies 1 and 2, and a very interesting calendar. So let's move on from there.
I thought that the race this evening was extremely good, especially the sprint race, but it is a shame that my Ethernet decided to disconnect just before the final lap. The feature race was incredible as well, albeit quite boring due to my pit strategy being different, and I was 20 seconds behind the person in front and 20 seconds in front of the person behind me. Being in the lead for the majority of the race was an odd one for me, as last season I was either in the barrier or not racing due to me being in the barrier. It's a nice change for the start of the season.
Hello everyone, F1RST here. I was driving the Volkswagen Beetle in the sprint race and also this season. It is quite of a challenge with a controller because I'm absolutely not a controller driver. But I finished P3rd in the sprint race. I was very surprised because I got some dive bombs, but also a lot of people were spinning around, and I could keep it on track, and my right front tire was gone after I think 6 laps, but I luckily just could hold on to P3. If it was a lap longer, I wouldn't made it. So I'm very excited about the sprint race, and the future race is gonna be different on the controller and a very heavy tire wear on the right front.
First, the night started off with our division qualifier / tryout. I was hoping to make what I call the alien lobby, but I just missed it, which is okay. Gives me something to shoot for season 3. So we did a qualifier. I was able to make it to lobby 2. Started our regular qualifier for the feature race, and I did not do my fastest lap, but I did pretty close. I think I was maybe quarter second off, but with the nerves and everything trying to run, I was still pretty happy I got that close. So I qualified in softs. I figured I risk it a bit since the tire wear is pretty crazy here at Interlagos. But I was able to make the tires last for the qualifier, and was hoping to do the same for the sprint race. So when we qualified, I qualified P1, which means I started in reverse grid for the sprint race, which was last place, I believe 9th or 10th. So I knew I had some work to do to try to get it done. So I figured, I think we had 10 laps, and I just, took one lap at a time and tried to get up there as much as I can. Had a few battles with some peoples. I did a few moves that I was pretty happy with that worked out. I'm back in my Supra. I haven't driven the Supra in about a year, but just a car that I really favor and I really, really like. So I'm glad I was able to use it this season. So, yep, finished P1 and the sprint, and took a quick break. I did notice that on my wheel, it's a Thrustmaster, but it's acting a little funky since its last few updates. ABS starts blinking on screen like I'm putting some kind of input, almost like barely touching the brake. There's not a high input, but I think it does slow the car down enough. It's odd, but I'm not even touching the brake. So anyways, I noticed that, finished the sprint, got off my rig, had to go unplug it, unplug the power, it reset, did its calibration, and then I thought I was ready to go. So we started the feature race, and I usually go on track and test this, and I had the time. I was so excited and pumped. I honestly didn't think straight. So I did not go on track and make sure everything's working, because it has happened before where I have to do it twice. So the race starts, the feature race starts. I'm in P1, and yep, my throttle's only going halfway. So I think the brake was working, but I mean, at that point, I just needed to go, and it wasn't going, and it was terrible. So I paused the game, thankfully. Hopefully, I didn't put any obstruction on anybody. I try to get out the way as much as I can, and I had to wait for the traffic to clear anyways, because I'm nowhere near the speed everyone else was. So I got off the rig, went and pulled the plug out, had it reset, did its calibration, sat down real quick. By then, I was a little bit behind last place, and yep, I had work to do. So my theory and my strategies kind of worked out. I thought I could pull off it one stop, and I knew I was going to have trouble. It wasn't going to be easy because my tires, especially the sauce, it just were going to be gone. So I did have to do a little bit of fuel saving, but not too much. I made it to halfway, switched over to mediums, and eventually was able to get back to P1 once everybody else had their second pit. I think everybody did a two-stop. So I had a 20-second or so gap to second place, which was Coolio's. But man, I kept my eye on it in certain sections that I knew I can kind of look away, and he closed that gap down quick. And I think he was on softs, and I think he pit with 10 laps to go. So I was sweating it a bit. So I was not hoping, but I was counting that his tires might not last the full 10 or just barely enough. So the mediums did well. I mean, I had mediums all the way to the end. So as long as I ran clean and avoided any incidents, no penalties, then I think I would be fine. I had a few guys that I had to go through traffic with, but thankfully they moved aside. So it worked out. I was able to pull out P1 again, and I was super excited about it. Again, with this car and everything, put in the livery especially, all of that is my thing. So I'm happy it pumps me up to go race or whatever. So I'm happy we got it started. Congrats to Nighthawk Racing for having such a great turnout. Thank you to Midnight for hosting, and Big Birdie for hosting, and can't wait for the next race, and season 2 off to a great start. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Hey, Midnight here. On behalf of myself, Sarah, Kirk, and the rest of the admin crew, I just want to say a big thank you to all of the people that participated in the Lobby 2 race tonight, from all of the late joiners, all of the Season 1 crew. Great racing, and all I have to say is I thoroughly enjoyed watching and commentating on this race, and I look forward to what the rest of you guys can do for season 2. So, forwards, onwards and upwards, and let's enjoy the rest of the series. Thank you all very much.